Welcome to this explainer on a genuinely frustrating modern paradox. I mean, have you ever stopped to wonder why reading all those incredibly smart books, listening to endless hours of self-improvement content, and knowing exactly what the rules of a healthy life are just doesn't always change our actual behavior? It's a fascinating problem, and today we're going to crack open the deep psychological mechanics behind it.
So, let's just dive right into this struggle. Because let's face it, we've all been there. It's that age-old dilemma where we know exactly how to live right, yet we repeatedly fail to actually do it. We've got the data, we know the science, the intention is absolutely there. But then, in the heat of the moment, poof, all that knowledge just seems to vanish into thin air.
We live in this constant, exhausting state of contrast between our rational brain and our reality. We absolutely know we should sleep early, eat better, cut down on the screen time, and keep our temper in check. But reality is us doom-scrolling at 2 in the morning, stress-eating when work gets tough, and snapping at the people we love most. It's a total disconnect between what our intellect knows is best and what we actually end up doing when we're stressed or just plain tired.
Which brings us to Section 1, Prajnaparada, or wisdom's failure.
First things first, if we want to solve this paradox, we have to stop guilt-tripping ourselves. Seriously, this disconnect isn't some moral failure, and it's definitely not just you being lazy. It is actually a structural system error in our minds. There's an ancient term for this called prajnaparahata, which literally translates to the crime against wisdom, or a failure of the intellect. It perfectly describes that state where a sudden impulse just temporarily hijacks your mind before your reason even gets a chance to intervene. The intellect is still there, it hasn't disappeared, but it's completely lost its authority. You end up acting contrary to your own direct knowledge.
Let's look at what this looks like in the real world. Everyday prajnaparada is exactly what happens when you know your body is begging for sleep, but you stay glued to your phone anyway. Or when you eat junk food specifically for comfort, fully aware you're going to feel terrible about it later. Or lashing out in anger, even though you can clearly see the damage it's doing to your relationship right in that moment. It perfectly explains why we actively choose the wrong path even when we see the harm coming from a mile away. It's a complete loss of connection between our knowledge and our actions.
So why does this glitch happen in the first place? Well, it all comes down to a failure in a very specific part of our mind known as buddhi. Think of buddhi as your discerning intellect, basically your internal compass. It's the mechanism that tells truth from illusion and the useful from the harmful. But when this inner compass gets clouded, whether by immediate desires, underlying fears, or just deep-seated habits, it essentially stops steering the ship.
And here is the absolutely crucial realization. The problem is not laziness. It is a failure of the intellect. When we doom scroll, or stress eat, or put things off into the last minute, our inner compass, our buddhi, has simply lost its authority in that split second. The impulses grab the steering wheel, and our intellect gets shoved into the passenger seat, forced to just sit there and watch us make mistakes.
So how do we fix it? That leads us to Section 2, Dhrithi, the missing link.
If just acquiring more information and reading a dozen more self-help books isn't going to fix this hijacked system, we clearly need a different tool. And that missing link is called Dhriti. Dhriti is psychological endurance. It's the inner strength and the fortitude that actually allows us to hold a pause. It is the raw capacity to withstand an urge, instead of just blindly giving into it. And to be clear, it's not about violently repressing your emotions. It's simply the quiet, enduring strength to just hold still for 1 second when that impulse hits.
Moving right along to Section 3, the RIII Institute approach.
Now that we understand the ancient mechanics of why we mess up, let's look at how authoritative modern holistic psychology actually tackles this today. Interestingly, this entire system has been successfully reconstructed for our modern era by Nikolai Bond, the rector of the RIII Institute, who has brought these profound tools right into contemporary professional practice. As the creator of this modern reconstruction, Rector Nikolai Bond points out a really sobering truth. Knowledge simply doesn't work unless it is anchored by inner fortitude and discernment, that buddhi we talked about. Seriously, all your self-help knowledge, every podcast you've ever listened to, all the books you've read, they are practically useless unless they are anchored by this inner fortitude. Knowledge alone is never going to win a fistfight with an impulse. And for those of you who might want to go deeper and turn these insights into an actual vocation, you can master these skills professionally at the RIN Institute. They offer higher education and DPO, which is professional retraining programs, in the holistic psychology of the new era. It's a really structured, comprehensive pathway to deeply understanding the human mind, way beyond the usual superficial fixes.
Let's bring this all together in Section 4, the power of the pause.
So how do we build this into an immediate, actionable practice that you can use right now? Well, developing Driti isn't about fighting yourself. It's literally just the practice of creating a tiny, tiny space between a stimulus and your response. Think of it in 4 steps. First, the impulse hits. You desperately want to grab the phone or yell. Second, the pause. Your Driti steps in and holds the line. It just says, wait. Third, because you created that pause, your reason, your buddhi, finally has the time to step in and look at the situation clearly. And finally, because your reason is back in the driver's seat, the right action naturally follows.
You can literally practice this today. The next time you feel that habitual urge to snap at someone, or to grab your phone when you know you should be sleeping, or to stress eat, just try this. Notice the impulse rising. Stop. Take 3 deliberate breaths. Then, simply ask yourself, what is my mind actually trying to get right now? Comfort? A distraction? Once you see what it's really after, the spell is completely broken.
There's this incredible quote: "A pause is the door through which buddhi enters into action." Those 3 breaths you take, they aren't just some relaxation trick. They provide the exact few seconds your intellect needs to walk through that door, clear away the illusion of the impulse, and guide you to do what you already know is right.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a challenge. Look at your own life today. What is one specific habit, just one, where you know you're committing a crime against wisdom, and where you will choose to use the power of the pause today? The knowledge is already sitting right there inside you. You just need to crack open the door. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I seriously challenge you to put that pause into practice today. Let's see what happens.